Hello, and thank you guys so much for tuning in today to the iNaturalBody channel. I'm sorry, I'm adjusting the volume on my laptop so this way I can hear myself when I review the recording. So in the next video, it will show us continuing the work we started with SoapMaker 3, but focusing on MyRecipes. And what I do in the next video is show you how you can utilize the wizard to get your recipes entered into the SoapMaker 3 software. And I don't edit this video a whole lot because I want you to see my experience pretty much. And so this video is a bit long, and I do apologize for that. But the caveat is you get to see me working in the software, and I think that's golden. For those of you on the edge about purchasing the software, hopefully you can see how easy it is to correct mistakes and literally get over your fears of working in a new application like SoapMaker 3. If you're just a hobbyist or a business owner, the SoapMaker 3 software is a valuable tool for your business. So I hope that this video is beneficial to the soap making community. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay. So I already have my SoapMaker 3 application opened, and if you will recall, we were entering my recipes. Or maybe let me back up a little bit. We completed going over MySupplies, and in MySupplies we got to enter as much of what we could. The one thing I didn't enter was the packaging. I haven't entered in packaging because there's the way that my packaging is, I didn't pay for any of the packaging that I have. None of the wrappers, none of the labels. Well, actually, I take that back. There are 2 books that I did buy from Hobby Lobby, and those are the only 2 books. I have yet to enter those in, but for the majority of my packaging supplies, those were all gifted to me. In addition, the U.S. mail is free. At least the supplies from the U.S. Postal Services are free, so I don't necessarily pay for those. So the only 2 that I have left to enter are those 2 books, and the books are what I use to make strips out of the beautifully designed papers to make the soap wrappers with. So I'll enter those 2, and that'll be it for MySupplies. But if you will recall, we left off with me entering all of my different supplies that I did have listed, okay? Now I do have a couple of other items to enter right now. Let's see, I'll click on new. Well, actually it's not a base oil. Let me back up. So when I'm looking at, once again, I'm under MySupplies. I'm looking at which tab is selected. Currently the base oils tab is selected. I need to go under Additives because I have a new additive, one that I recently purchased. Actually, I have a few things that I may want to enter. This one is 100% aloe vera, and I am going to go ahead and enter it. And let's go through this together. So the additive is, let's see, it's not a blend, it's not a color, it's not an essential oil, it's not a fragrance oil, possibly an herbs, or possibly miscellaneous. Let me take a look at what I've entered so far. I'm going to cancel out of this. I just want to take a look at what I've entered under herbs. So I can go here and expand my herbs folder to get an idea of what types of products I've listed here so far. Alright, and then I can also take a look at miscellaneous. And I think after looking at the way that I'm appropriating each category, I am going to go ahead and put my aloe vera under the miscellaneous file. So now that I know that that's the way that I want to go, I am going to collapse both of those folders, click New, and for the category I'm going to select Miscellaneous, and I'm going to go ahead and enter a name for the additive, it being aloe vera. And it's not actually the aloe vera, the plant. It's what you buy from Walmart. And it is, maybe I should be a little more specific, because sometimes I do use the plant. So I will say liquid aloe vera, like this. And because I don't know the specific gravity of aloe vera, I'm going to go ahead and, well, let me show you this before I enter 1. Usually you can enter 1 if you don't know the specific gravity for the item. But what I like about SoapMaker 3 is that they've accumulated several items along with their specific gravity. That information is given to us. All you have to do is click on the button. Let me go back. I'm going to close it. There's a button that says All About Specific Gravity. It's a part of the Help menu. When you click on it, it takes you directly to the Help menu. And it begins to talk about specific gravity. It says the specific gravity of a substance is the ratio of its density to that of water. Water has a specific gravity of 1. Oils are slightly lighter than water and generally have a specific gravity around 0.9 to 0.95. SoapMaker uses specific gravity to implement several features. You can record your supply purchases and track your stock by volume if that's how you buy them. For example, if you buy a gallon of oil, you can record the price you paid per gallon, and SoapMaker will tell you how many gallons are left in stock each time you make a batch. If you record a purchase in volume units, like for example fluid ounces or gallons or liters or milliliters, the specific gravity is important because internally, SoapMaker always saves unit cost as cost per gram, even if you choose to display it in volume units. If the specific gravity is wrong, the conversion from the volume units to grams will be wrong, and so will the unit cost. You have the option to enter recipe quantities in volume units like cups, tablespoons, etc., and SoapMaker will convert to weight units like ounces or pounds. Note: using volume measures for dry or granular ingredients is inherently inaccurate because of entrapped air. Use weight measures instead. You can specify your product size in volume units, like if you make liquid soap and sell it in 10 fluid ounce bottles. You can tell SoapMaker your portion size is 10 fluid ounces, and it will calculate the number of portions in a recipe and the cost per portion. You can have SoapMaker resize a recipe to fit a mold. All of these features involve conversion between weight and volume, and this can only be done accurately if we know the specific gravity of each ingredient. If you never use any of these features and only deal with weight measures, then you don't have to be concerned with specific gravity. You can just enter 1 as the specific gravity for all your additives. Your cost and product batches will be calculated correctly. The displayed recipe volume numbers may be inaccurate, but you can ignore them. SoapMaker comes with the specific gravity specified for each base oil, for lye, and for some example additives. When you add a new ingredient to MySupplies, you need to enter a valid non-zero specific gravity value. And then there's additional information under related topics, the common stock, common specific gravity, and INCI values, a list of common ingredients and their specific gravity, as well as their international nomenclature of cosmetic ingredients, or the INCI names, and measuring specific gravity. If you can't find an ingredient's specific gravity in our list, by asking your supplier or by searching the internet, you can measure it yourself following these guidelines. So, with that being said and read, I will click on Common Specific Gravity and INCI values. And here is a list that's been accumulated. And look, if you look closely, here are specific gravity values and INCI names of some common ingredients listed in these categories to include base oils, essential oils, fragrance oils, clays, mica, chemicals and preservatives, miscellaneous additives. Related topics: what is specific gravity and why it is important, measuring specific gravity, and the INCI names. So our additive is aloe vera, liquid aloe vera. So let's see if we can find this. This button, Control F. And so I'm trying to figure out what will be the command for find. Well, it's not coming up. Oh well. I'm not familiar with the PC platform for the hotkeys. I was looking for a quick way to look for items, to search for certain items by name, but I'll have to just do it this way, by scrolling through all of this information and trying to find anywhere that may read aloe vera. And thank God it's in alphabetical order. Here are chemicals and preservatives, clays and mica, French clay, kaolin clay. Look, the specific gravity of kaolin clay is 2.6. And it's measured in grams. And these are different fragrance oils, different essential oils, base oils to include goat milk and lanolin. So as you can see, when I've gone through the list that's provided, I don't see anything that says aloe vera or even liquid aloe vera. Just want to double check. I don't see anything that does say that. So I've just been entering the number one for everything. I don't check this list consistently all the time. I only enter one because for the most part I've never worked with maintaining the specific gravity of any of the supplies that I've entered. I've never really paid attention to it. So with that being said, I believe I'm okay with just entering the number one. And if I read this information correctly, that's actually quite fine. So I will say okay here, and I'll continue to enter the liquid aloe vera. Alright, so it's here, and if I double click on liquid aloe vera, because it's highlighted, I could have opened, when I double click on liquid aloe vera, what that does is it opens new supply, purchase, or expense, and this is where I can enter or capture the expense information that I would have paid, and I got this from Walmart. So I enter Walmart. I don't have the receipt because this was purchased some time ago, and I don't know because I'm this is an old purchase is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to leave some of this information like it is. I don't have, well, I'm not sure if there's a lot number, but I can look on it and see. There is a lot number, and those numbers are 0, let's see, 2660S. And the best buy date is April 2019. And I have one container, and the size of this container is 1 gallon. And because I don't have the receipt with me, what I'm going to do now is just pick up my cell phone and type in aloe vera, liquid aloe vera. Just bear with me one moment, please. Liquid aloe vera from Walmart. And what this will do is give me an idea on pricing. And Walmart has it listed on its website for $6.44. And this is what I've been doing to capture some of the information as far as pricing. I will actually look it up and get today's pricing for it. Alright, so because I do want to track this for inventory, I will leave this little box here unchecked, and also there is no special pricing, so I will also leave this box unchecked. I have completed entering all the information that I can, and I'm going to move this window over. Hopefully you can see the entire window. I'll try to do this. And as you can see, I've entered as much as I can. This little yellow box here, basically you can turn it on and off just by clicking in this box at the very bottom. Don't show these tips when form is first opened. Basically, these are some tips for using the form, and you can use those if you need to. There's a legend to the far left on this page. If you can just cast your eyes upon it, you'll see that there's different icons. If you see these pop up from time to time in this white area, this open area here, it's telling you that there's a problem with the entry, or when editing the previous, some already used existing products made with list will not reflect changes, item deleted, no purchase record found. These are just some icons that may come up from time to time, but you have a legend here that will help you to better understand what's going on. And there's status indicators at the very, let's see, if you look in the area, the white area, there's different columns. The very last column is a status area, a status column, and they're letting us know, SoapMaker 3 is letting us know when we see the letter I, N, or S, it means respectively inventory, non-inventory, or special price. So I have entered everything here. I don't have any of this additional information. What will happen is this $6.44, unless I enter any additional information in the far right column that's highlighted in blue here, that $6.44 is going to be the final amount here. Okay? Oh, actually it'll be listed down where it says total cost. So I will go ahead and press or click on save item and enter. And as you can see, that $6.44 is carried all the way down. Now, had I paid for shipping expenses, if I would have ordered it online, I would have entered those items in here. There's a lot that you can gather from your receipt or the invoice. I could have entered a receipt number in this area or an invoice number. So, yeah, so at this point, this is all that I have. I don't have another item to enter on this particular invoice or order number. In SoapMaker 3, it's listed as an order number. Since I don't have an additional item number, this is the only item going on order number 48. I can go ahead and click on Save and New or Save and Close. In my case right now, I'm going to do Save and New because I have another item that I'd like to enter because I didn't purchase it from Walmart, okay? All right, important. When purchasing by volume, you have recorded a purchase by volume for one item whose specific gravity is set to 1. Note that the unit cost may not be calculated accurately. And you see this is just a notice for us to see that the quantity we've entered for the aloe vera gel, we're saying the specific gravity is 1, and the software is just flagging that for our sake and giving us a message. But because we're not necessarily paying attention to specific gravity on any of the items that we're entering, I'm just going to go through this, and as a matter of fact, I'll put don't show this message again because I really don't pay attention to the specific gravity when making soaps at all. Alright, and then it says a new purchase record will be created for each material entry. Now we'll say okay. I'll let this message show up each time a new one is each time a new order is created. I'll let this one show up. Okay, and then lastly, there's another message that shows us the order has been saved, purchased records have been updated, and affected recipes have been flagged for update. You can now create a new order. Okay. And that puts us on to our next item. My next item is water. I purchased some spring water. Everybody has their preferences. Some people use distilled water. I did review a soaper on YouTube. She used rainwater after filtering it. Some people don't use water at all. They use a different liquid. Some people use goat milk. I mean, it's whatever floats your boat, right? I use spring water, and I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and record this purchase. This spring water I did get from Kroger. Let's see if I have Kroger listed. I don't have Kroger as a supplier. So when that is the case, what you do is go to the very bottom where it says Add New Supplier. Click on Add New Supplier. A window will open, and you'll get the opportunity to add in the information. I don't have Kroger's phone number nor email, website, or an account with them. And for the notes, I'll just put local grocer. In the event someone begins to help me enter these things, they'll understand, or have a little information, more information for Kroger like that. I'll say okay. I don't have a supplier invoice. And from category, we're going to go down to lye and water. And we're going to do water. I don't have a lot number. And this is water, so, I mean, best buy date. You can put any date, right? I have 1 container. And the size is 1 gallon. And that gallon was 88 cents. And I am finished with that. I hope you guys saw how easy it was to enter it in. And I will click on Save and Enter. And that one is recorded. And now what I want to do is just take a quick look around my studio to make sure that I've entered everything as far as supplies goes. Okay, I have. Well, actually, I haven't. I do have a few more pieces, but I want to do that for another day, not for today per se. Maybe like Friday or Saturday. But so we've worked MySupplies for a little bit, and for those of you who have just joined in, you got a little taste of that. Now I'm going to click on Save and Close because essentially I am done entering supplies. Alright, now I'll get my same messages that I got just a moment ago. And this is a review under the supply orders report that comes up. So we're showing my water that I entered, the gallon for 88 cents. And look at the dates here. This is the work that I did for today, March 13th, Kroger, Walmart, $6.44 from Walmart. If I click on this order number, I can see the contents of that order, liquid aloe vera, right here. And I can confirm a lot of the information all the way towards the bottom. Hopefully you can see that here. All right. And because I'm okay with everything that I'm looking at, I'm going to close out of that and collapse this folder and close MySupplies. And this window here, it's docked. You can see this arrow here, it's docked. It's for MyRecipes. This is where we are going to next. So I have a couple of recipes that I would like to enter. So let's go ahead and do those. Let me undock this window and I will close it so that we can review how to get to MyRecipes. So remember, there is a menu tab or menu options, which are these guys up here: File, Edit, Recipes, Supplies, Products, Tools, Reports, Window, and Help. And then we have the tabular options, which are Preferences, MyRecipes, MySupplies, My Products, Graph, Convert, Mold, Shopping, and the Help menu. We can easily get to MyRecipes right here, which is through the tab, or you can get to MyRecipes under the Recipes menu. Okay, so remember you have those two different areas that you can access it by. So now that we have opened my recipes, I'm going to expand the window just a little bit, and I am going to dock. I'm going to go ahead and dock this window so that it remains open. And as you can see, we only have, let's take a look at the window that we're working with, okay? The window and all the tools that we have available to us. So initially I see organize by group, view as sortable list. We have a search field. We can collapse or expand folders. We can create new groups, move recipes, and we can record recipes for cream, liquid, non-soap, and solid soaps. All right, so I work with solid soaps, and so this is all that I'm going to focus on because this is all that not all that I work on, but solid soaps and non-soaps will be the two that I focus on. All right, so let's get started. Oh, let me back out of that just for a second. So I would like to enter a new solid soap recipe. So if you look at the new tab, there's a drop down arrow right to the right of it. If you click on that drop down arrow, it'll expose at least 4 different options, and you scroll down to the one that you want to work with. For myself, it's the solid soap, and when I click on it, another window opens which includes a wizard, and we are going to follow the wizard for this solid soap recipe, for adding a solid soap recipe. But before we do follow the wizard, let's go over the window that we're looking at. Of course, the wizard is, the button is depressed, so if you click on it, it will hide the wizard. If you click on it again, it'll expose the wizard. There's a save option. Also, there's a drop down arrow. You can save the recipe, or you can save as on the save button. You can produce a copy, print, even export. When you click the drop down list on the side of export, it says export ingredient list for labels. Awesome. Or you can export the recipe as a text file. Also, you can resize the particular recipe. You can click make to make a batch of the recipe. You can click graph to expose the qualities graph. Full, I'm not sure what this is for. Let me click on it here. What is full? Expand the window to the full screen size. And then we have our help menu at the very end. And then right beneath that, we have several tabs. First, beginning with the saponifiable ingredients, our base oils, then our lye water, then our additives, then packaging, and the fatty acids information, also options and notes. And right beneath that, under the base oils, what it looks like is it appears that it's the same systems we've worked with. We get to tab through as we enter the information, and you set up the preferences as far as the way that the recipes will be entered in as far as the unit is what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's get started. So here we are using the wizard. I am on the start button and it's already highlighted. And she says, I'm here to help you create recipes. Click each step button as I guide you through the steps. If you don't need my help, unclick the wizard button. You can call on me again if you need me. All right, step 1. Step 1 is to set your options. And as you can see, when we clicked on step 1, it gave us a completely different page. But look where the highlighted tab is now. It's all the way under options. It's highlighting options. When we first opened the window, it was highlighting base oils. But it looks like step 1 starts with the options tab. Okay, make sure the options are set the way you want them. I've clicked the options tab for you. Choose the input units you prefer for most ingredients. You can always use a different unit when entering a particular ingredient. Choose the calculated weight units and set the scale precision to match your weigh scale. Set any other options you want for this recipe. If you want the same options for all new recipes of this type, click the big button labeled Save in Preferences. Now you're ready to start entering your ingredients. Click Step 2 to continue. Okay? So I'm just going to glance over this really quickly to make sure that my options are what I would like for them to be on this recipe. Something that I want to point out, input units for adding ingredients. I have mine set to ounces. You can change this if this is not how you want it to measure. You can change easily by clicking on the drop down arrow and selecting the unit of measure that you would like. And the same goes for water volume units, recipe volume units, and calculated weight units. When it says weigh scale precision, move the slider to set. This is referring to like whenever you're reading your weigh scale, is it measured by 1 decimal place by one digit behind the decimal place versus 2 digits behind the decimal place versus 3 digits behind the decimal place, or are there no digits behind the decimal place? When I did look at my weigh scale, it weighs with 2 digits behind the decimal place. So this is where my weigh scale precision will be set to. And for the sake of being on the safe side while I have this open, I'm just going to reach over and double check. All right, yes, that is correct. It is 2 decimal places. All right, and bar size is measured in ounces. The average bar size that I have is approximately 5 ounces. And number of bars, I left this blank. Expected hot process water loss, I left it at 0. Suggested fragrance amount. For myself personally, I do half of an ounce per pound, and I believe this is it. Okay, so my options are set. I do not want this as a benchmark. I do not want to compare all other recipes to this particular recipe. I'm going to keep working on that, and I'll make a decision after I've entered in all of the recipes that I do have before I set my benchmark. All right, so we're moving forward. We're on step number 2, the base oils. The key ingredients of your soap recipe are the base oils, which will become saponified. You can enter as many different oils as you want, but I suggest you start with only a few. Under Oil Name, click the little down arrow to see the list of oils and select the one you want, or you can just type the name if you prefer. Press the Tab key on your keyboard to move to the amount box. Type the amount or click the little up or down arrows to make small changes. Press Tab again and select different units if you want. Click to see the list of possible units, or just type the one you want. Press Tab again to begin entering another oil on the next line. Okay, so here is where you will need your recipe. And I apologize beforehand because you may hear some ruffling. I have several recipes. All right, so I'm going to start with the first one. And so with our cursor selecting the first oil, we can either select it by going to the drop-down list and scrolling to look for it, or we can start typing our first oil like such. And the amount that I have is 10.58 ounces, and it's already there. And the next oil I have is olive, and for that it is 9.52 ounces. And lastly, castor is 1.06, and that is also in ounces. Okay, so now that I have completed entering the base oils for this recipe, this appears to have been maybe a test batch. And the reason I can say that is because it's only 21.16 ounces of oils that were used in total. Now we're going to move on. Okay, so using the graph, once you've entered your base oil ingredients, you can test your recipe against the qualities graph. If the graph is not visible, click the graph button on the recipe toolbar. You'll see the new recipe qualities compared with the benchmark. Try changing an oil amount. Click and hold the little up or down arrows and watch how it affects the graph, or replace one oil with a different one and see the changes. When you have a favorite recipe, you can make it your benchmark. Click the Options tab and then click the button labeled Set as Benchmark. So let me give you a heads up. Because I'm entering a recipe, I will go ahead and click on the graph. But I strongly suggest that while we are still in the learning phases of our SoapMaker 3, I'm a little hesitant to manipulate these figures while I do have the correct information entered for this recipe. Even here, lard, olive, castor, these are correctly listed for the sake of having the correct information. So we'll just see the differences in the qualities graph as we enter the different oils. And what I'll do is also show you, when clicking on the qualities graph for each recipe, how it stands up and how they are differentiating from one another. And that's easy to do. I'll show you that as we progress. But I'm really hesitant to alter these numbers because I don't want to get in the habit of doing that, especially if the information I've entered is accurate. Okay, I just had to get that out of the way. All right, so, but moving forward, do you see these? Take note of these blue columns, like the blue markers here. This is our qualities, soap qualities graph. And what the qualities graph is doing is it's sharing with us our hardness, our fluffy lather, our stable lather, and our moisturizing lather. Notice that our recipe is untitled, and the blue tab is referring to the recipe that I just entered. And the reason I can be so sure about that is because this little blue in the corner, in the right corner, right below the red letter, the red X that we usually use to close out of each window, that's on the untitled solid soap recipe page. That blue correlates to the blue listed in the qualities graph. Okay, and then the benchmark is a different recipe. I'm not sure. I'm going to go and double check that because I don't remember entering anything else in, but you never know. I'll definitely go in and check to see what's already there, because obviously there's something there. Oh, okay. I just saw something that caught my attention. The benchmark recipe is a soy-based recipe that's in the system already. Even after we cleared everything out, I'm assuming that it maintained this soy-based recipe from the example information that was preset with the software, with the application. And so my recipe, which I haven't titled it yet, is being compared to that soy-based recipe, obviously. And so, and you can see the numbers at the very top of the column headers change whenever you roll your mouse over, the mouse pointer over those different columns. All right. And I'm sure there's a whole lot more to this graph than what I'm lending to right now, but as we get more familiar with the qualities graph, we'll definitely be able to share more and learn more together about it. So as for right now, what I can tell you is that it's basically comparing our recipe to a recipe that's already standard, titled soy base. And what I'm meaning as standard is It's something that was set as the benchmark. So that's what our soap recipe, which is untitled, is being compared to. All right. So I am going to close out of that. And let's see. Now we're moving on to step 4, adjusting lye and water. So when you're happy with your blend of base oils, check the amounts of sodium hydroxide, lye, and water that SoapMaker has calculated. You may want to adjust the amounts to by specifying a discount percent. Discounting the lye amount by a few percent is a good idea to ensure your soap will not be lye heavy and make it mild on the skin. This is one way to do super fatting. You can also discount the water amount to make a stiffer batch that will dry more quickly, or you can use a negative discount to increase the water amount. All right. So SoapMaker 3, it's set up with a 6% lye discount, and it's telling us that we will need 2.71 ounces of lye in order to saponify those 3 oils listed on our base oils that we just listed for the recipe, the lard, the olive, and castor. We will need 2.71 ounces of lye in order to saponify those. And additionally, it's been discounted by 6%. So that means we have some of the oil that will not be saponified, and this will super fat, making for a moisturizing bar of soap. So, and that's a good thing, like she explains, and well, like the software explains, this is one way to super fat. All right. And then water discounting, there is none. And so the amount of water needed to make this recipe, 6.71 ounces or 6.43 fluid ounces. All right. I'm sorry for being quiet just right now. I'm just taking a look at all of the information. I'm looking at like the total recipe weight, 30.58 ounces, the approximate volume, 29.23 fluid ounces. The cost per 5-ounce bar to me so far is 46 cents. The total cost for the bar, $2.81. Number of bars, possibly 6 that I could get. The cost per 5-ounce sample, 46 cents so far. So I'm just like taking a look at the information that the software, after we've entered our supplies and worked MySupplies some, this is what the software is capable of doing for us. I think this is very awesome. I think this is really good because in the past, I really wasn't able to know at the spur of the moment, what is this soap costing me to make? Now, albeit I haven't calculated any of like the hourly or like what is it costing me by the hour, like by wage. But what I mean is like the wage amount, that's not been calculated into that. But you can see like this is pretty good, 46 cents for cost so far. We haven't ventured into additives and packaging. So, I mean, but think about it, a 5-ounce bar of soap, and so far your cost or not even $1. So, I mean, you have some room to really make this bar of soap stand out by way of adding a beautiful scent to it, or making it something that's so natural that it's going to combat something specifically, say like maybe with the 3 base oils that we selected, I could lend to doing something like just a basic natural bar of soap, you know, especially something like a moisturizing body bath soap. You know, it doesn't have to lend to too much. I mean, I can be so plain, like the aloe vera. I might put aloe vera in there, or an aloe vera and honey. I'm just thinking of things right off the top of my head. So I like the software. I like it so far. What I'm seeing so far, I'm really excited about it. Moving on to step number 5. Here is the Additives tab. The Additives page is where you enter all the non-saponifiable ingredients like scents and colors. You must define ingredients in MySupplies before you can use them in recipes. Select the category or just type the category name, then select or type the additive name and enter the amount. When you use a liquid additive such as milk, check the box under Adjust Water. This tells SoapMaker to reduce the water amount to compensate. Create your own additives in MySupplies so they are available for including in recipes. Once again, create your own additives in MySupplies so they are available for including in recipes. You can include a base oil in the additives list as an alternate way to superfat your recipe. It will not affect your lye calculations or graph numbers. So this is a second way. We saw where we could discount the lye under the lye water tab right here to superfat, and now they're exposing to us a second way to superfat. We can list the oil as an additive and select it here in order to superfat. So a lot of times I've seen SoapMaker do that with their more exotic oils, and I use the term exotic loosely because these days you can get your hands on so many different oils. There's so many suppliers that are easily accessible now. Something that I don't see on the shelves that you can just go in Walmart and pick out is something like a mango oil or mango butter. So I would list this as an exotic oil for me, and that could be an additive. I would use it in small portions. What's another one? Jojoba oil is another one. Though I can get it off the shelf at some suppliers, local suppliers, it's not something that you can easily access, like say through a Walmart or a Kroger or a local grocer. Like you'd have to go to a specialty store to get it, at least in my area. So I think either which way, either you will discount in the lye area with your lye to superfat, or if it's better for you to think of it as an additive and add it at the back end after the saponification process, then here you have a way to add like 3 or 4% of that extra special oil that you want to superfat with. So that's one way to get a moisturizing bar, something that's very moisturizing to the skin. So let's play around with the Additives tab now. Are we going to use goat milk? Or are we going to use aloe vera? Remember, anytime we're using something like a liquid, we want to adjust the water content. So we want to click this little box here. And you see every time I get away from it and then come back to it, a message pops up. It says, check this to reduce water by additive amount. So let's go under the category. There's a drop-down list. And we are going to go into, let's check and see what we have in our herbs section. When I select herbs under category, the drop-down list will include all of those herbs that are entered in MySupplies. I'll have access to those to go ahead and enter now. And what I want to do is take a look at my recipe that's in front of me. And I'm going to go ahead and enter those herbs that I may have listed on my recipe. And as I even return to the recipe, I forgot I had it right here in front of me. As a matter of fact, I'm just checking on my notes to see what was here. So, oatmeal. This recipe had oatmeal. And there it is. I have oats. And I have 3 ounces. 3 ounces of oats here. And the fragrance oil was cranberry. And I don't think I have it listed. So let's see what happens. Cranberry. Unknown additive. So guess what I have to do? I have to return to my supplies and list cranberry fragrance. Alright. So I am going to save this unknown additive name. Let me get out of that. Let me delete this and delete that. And all I'm doing is selecting and going back. Let's see if it'll let me go into my supplies. Yes, it will. So I'm going to click on shipment and I'm going to go to cranberry fragrance. This was Cajun candle. And I'm going to click on fragrance oil. And I'm going to say cranberry fragrance. And the specific gravity will be 1. Notice how if it's not listed, as long as I'm under the shipments tab, maybe I ought to scoot this over. I am so sorry. I'm going to scoot all of this stuff over. Let me close out of this window. I'm going to cancel that. I want to show you what's going on. So I was working with cranberry fragrance oil while trying to build the recipe. And because cranberry fragrance oil was not listed in supplies, it couldn't pull it. So I had to go back into my supplies, and this is the window that it opens up after you click on shipment. So when you open my supplies, click on shipment, this supply purchase expense form opens up, and you can start typing. If something's not listed, it's going to ask you, do you want to list this fragrance? So let's see, cranberry fragrance oil. Cranberry fragrance oil does not exist. Would you like to define the new name? Yes. When I click on yes, another window pops open, giving me the opportunity to enter the specific gravity of 1 and saying OK and confirming that the category is fragrance oil. I don't know the lot number, and for this one I'll put best before the end of this month. It's already been used. I had 1 container that was 1 ounce in size, and I paid $2.49 for those. Now I'm going to save and enter, and everything appears to look good. I'm going to save and close, and I get those 2 messages that always appear, and I get to confirm the order, the supply orders. If I am not in agreement with what I've entered, I can delete it just by clicking delete, or if there's something that needs to be edited in this report, this supply orders report that immediately comes up after you've entered that supply purchase, I can edit it, or I can repeat, print, export. I can even alter the supplier information and go from there. But as you can see, it's been recorded. Today, Cajun Candle, it's order number 50 for $2.49, and here is exactly what is on that invoice. So I'm okay with everything. I will go ahead and close it. And now I'm also closing out of that supplies window. Now I'm going to return to my recipes and return to entering the fragrance oil. It's already selected for item number 2. And I'm going to type in cranberry. And as you see, when I begin to type it this time, it's pulling it up automatically. And there was 1 ounce. And I do believe when I look down at my recipe, I do believe that that is all that I had. Yes, that's all that I had by way of additives for this particular bar. Make sure. Yes, that's right. Now we are going to Well, actually, I'm going to take a look at this page to see what's changing. So now the total recipe weight is 34.58 ounces. Approximate volume weight is listed. The cost per 5-ounce bar has increased to to 83 cents. The total cost, $5.74. My costs are very low. All right, and the suggested fragrance amount for this bar was only 0.66 ounces based on current oil's weight of 21.16. So as you can see, I went above and beyond 1 ounce. I don't want to do this often because you don't want to be too strong with the fragrance. And so in the future, I will definitely consider the suggested fragrance amounts. All right, so here is my expenses so far. The oats, 44 cents. The fragrance, $2.49. I'm at $2.93. So my total cost for this bar, $5.74 so far. And the number of bars, approximately 6.9, almost 7 bars of soap for $5.74. Okay? Now we're moving forward to step number 6, packaging. Here you can include bottles, wrappers, labels, etc. used with your recipe to package it for sale. By including these items, you can see the total cost of the recipe and the true cost of each bar or portion to be sold. Indicate whether the quantity of a particular item is the total for the recipe or per bar or portion. So SoapMaker will calculate the total. If you specify the total quantity, indicate whether it is fixed or should be adjusted automatically if the recipe is ever resized. To add packaging items to your database, open MySupplies, select the Packaging tab, and click the New button. Tip: you can include a labor cost item in your packaging list and in each recipe. Okay, so after I went through the help menu and read the information about that tip that was provided about the labor cost, it is not suggested for the professional edition for those of us who use the software for business purposes to do that. But if you do have the light edition, SoapMaker 3 goes into great detail about how you can create this labor cost under the packaging tab. So this way you can have SoapMaker 3 to calculate your labor expense into the creation of each bar. Since I have the professional edition, I'm not going to do that because in addition to explaining how to do this effectively in the light edition, SoapMaker 3 also explains the shortcomings of the application as it refers to the professional edition, and they don't suggest that people who use it for business purposes use this tip. But then they leave it up to you if you want to do it anyhow. They go ahead and explain in the help menu. Let me show you where. They go ahead and explain where you can do that. And as you can see, all you do is type in labor, click on enter, the first item, labor cost options, double click it. And labor cost options, recording and tracking labor costs. And here it is. If you have light edition, you can use SoapMaker's packaging feature to include a labor cost with each recipe so that your product costs reflect labor as well as all the ingredient costs. Professional edition, however, this is not recommended with the professional edition as it will distort accounting information. Instead, it is recommended to use the labor report feature to record and track all your wage expenses. These will be consolidated in a line item on the tax and income summary report. Limitations of recording labor as packaging item with the professional edition. And so she goes on to explain to you the SoapMaker 3 limitations. Maybe in the future this may be different, but I appreciate them for giving the professional edition users another route to capture that information and to do it in a way that doesn't distort the accounting information. So for me personally, this is the area that I will be focusing on for that. I will wait to get to the labor report. All right, so I'm going to close out of here. For those of you with the light edition and you want to track that labor cost, you're just going to have to go through that and figure that part out, because I'm doing this on the professional side. Okay, so moving on with packaging. For these soaps, what I used was my the heat sealer with the clear plastic. So, that's the other items that I will definitely have to enter when I'm thinking about the heat sealer. Okay, let's see. So, should I do wrappers or should I do miscellaneous packaging? If I do miscellaneous packaging, I don't have anything in here. Only the dum-dums, the candy pieces that go in each order. Okay. So for this particular soap, I know all I used was the heat sealer. That meant the shrink wrap packaging, and that was it. So I need to back up a little bit, go into MySupplies, and go under packaging and click on new. And this is going to go under miscellaneous packaging, and I'm going to do shrink wrap. I'm going to do shrink wrap tubular and say OK. And then I'm going to do another new item and call it miscellaneous, and I'm going to do shrink wrap. I think it's the 6 by 6 squares. I'll double check that, but I want to get this done. And then I'll do another one where I'll call it miscellaneous packaging, and I'll do the National Shrink Wrap System. All right, and I think, and then I can also do something for wrappers. Let's do, it won't let me select it. There it is, wrappers. Let's do and that will encompass the 2 books that I was supposed to enter earlier. So now that I have that, what I want to do is double click on the Hobby Lobby wrapper. I double clicked, it didn't open, so I clicked on shipment, and this is Hobby Lobby. Do I have yes, I do have Hobby Lobby. I don't know this, I don't know this. I have 2, and the size, give me 1 second. Each book has 180 sheets, so 2 books with 180 items, and the price per container, and all I'm doing is typing it into my cell phone to see if it'll pull it up like I did for the Walmart aloe vera that pulled it up easily. And just like I thought, it does pull it up, but the only thing is, when I pull it up requesting Hobby Lobby, it pulls it up for Walmart at $5. Well, actually, if I scroll down a little further, right now those tablets are on sale for $10. And I know that I'm always using those 40 and 50% off coupons. So I'm going to go with the $10 amount for the sale item of these designer papers. Okay, and my only reserve is that I am going to have to do this in a different way when I get to the packaging, because, and I'm thinking out loud and then thinking about it. I will save and close. Right, and then there was some items in miscellaneous. And I'll do shrink wrap. Size, no, I don't have one. I don't know how many of these I have left. I'll put, no, I better not do that many. Yeah, probably so. And I'll do 6 by, it doesn't let me alter it or adjust it. And I'll do the miscellaneous. And I'll do the shrink wrap tubular. And I think this was like $20. No. I have to go back and edit something. So I select the item that I want to work with. And let's see if it'll let me edit it right here in this number where it's selected and the information is highlighted. I need to change that 6 to a 1 and save, and now it is adjusted. And I needed to change the 200 to a 1 and then save, and it's adjusted. So as long as you don't close out of it, you can edit the information, and I think this is how I want it to be listed. The tubular wrapping and the squares, the pre-cut square shrink wrap, I think it's 6 square inches. I'm not absolutely positive because I don't have it right in front of me. I will need to double check this. I'll go ahead and save everything and close. Oh, you see, there's a message that pops up. You have not selected a supplier name. Do you wish to continue anyway? No, I want to go ahead and enter the supplier name, which is Amazon. And now I will save and close. And I get those 2 redundant messages that we've seen so many times. And now I can confirm my supply order from Amazon and Hobby Lobby is now recorded. And so I can close here at the bottom, and I will close out my supplies. And now when I've returned to my untitled solid soap recipe under miscellaneous packaging, I can select those 6 by 6 squares, and I can do 1. We'll see what comes up. That's entirely too much. It's not accurate, and I don't like that it's doing this. So here I have a chance to go back and correct it. So I'm going to go back to visit in MySupplies. Under the additives, under the packaging, and I need to expand everything. I'm going into the 6 square inch. And let's see. Let me close out of this. And what I want to do is go into reports, supply orders reports. And I want to scroll down because it was done recently from Amazon, and I would like to edit this information. And what happens is it pulls up my order that was just put in. And so this 6 by 6 square containers number, I have one, the price per container. The size, shrink wrap, and I'm just working my way through this, trying to understand the best way to have this entered, because even though I purchased it by the package, I know that the price per container. It's not $10 per item. Let's see what happens when I change this to a wrapper. And then to the Hobby Lobby wrapper and the containers. Miscellaneous packaging, the 6x6 squares, containers 1. Size is, it says number of containers refers to shipping containers. Container size is number of packaging items in each container. Oh, okay, so I had 200 in here. Let me see, make sure. And let's see what happens. And so now it's adjusted. So I'm just going to go back to this one. The shrink wraps, the squares, there's 200 pieces in each container. And I paid $10 for each container. And so SoapMaker 3 has already calculated the cost as being 5 cents per item. And this ought to adjust my cost accordingly. And now I'm going to the shrink wrap tubular, and the size here I think is like a, I want to say, let me see, 200, no, what size would, I can pull it up. Tubular shrink wrapping. And when I pull it up, it's okay, so it's 500 feet is what it is. And now I will save it. And how much was this? Oh, this was not $20. This was $55. And now I will save that, and I will save and close and allow it to be updated. And the order has been updated, and I will close out of this window. And now I will return to my untitled salad soap recipe. When I select miscellaneous package now, and the shrink wrap square, and 1 per bar, my new price calculated 35 cents. And lastly, I do put a wrapper. I may have to do the same thing with the wrapper and try to figure it out. Double check these numbers, but as you can see, it's calculating my packaging total cost as 73 cents. That's a bit high, I find. So I have to definitely go in and confirm the way that I have it set up. But for now, we'll let it fly. Tomorrow's another day. I could definitely focus on this tomorrow as far as confirming the cost on these items. But we will see. Okay, so now that we have that, let's move on to step number 7. Finishing up. If you're into the chemistry of soap making, the fatty acids page shows the estimated percentage of each fatty acid in your blend of base oils. The notes page provides space for you to record anything you want to say about this recipe. When you're ready, you can save the recipe by clicking the Save button on the toolbar. You'll be asked to give it a name and select the group in which to save it. If you need more help with a particular task at any time, just click the Help button, right-click and choose Help from the pop-up menu, or press F1 on your keyboard. Have fun. Okay, let me take a look at my recipe to see if there were any if there were any notes that I wanted to capture. Okay, so I do have here that this is a slow trace batch. Slow trace. And I do also have here that the cranberry fragrance turned orange at trace. And lye water temp at 110. And oil and, oh no, just oil. Oil temp at 110. And let's see. I'm looking at, I have so many notes, like little bits and pieces of notes written down on here. And I allowed this to cure for 1 month, for 4 weeks. And that, I apologize for the rustling, but I have to flip the page over, was the end of the notes here. Okay, so now that I am done, I will click save, and here is where I get the opportunity to name the recipe. And this one is named, let me make sure, Cran Oats. That was the name for that one, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new group. Okay, non-vegan recipes. I think that'll work. And I would like to save to that. And so, now, if you look at the top here, the name of our soap is Cran Oats. We can see it reflected at the very top left. In addition, when we click on the graph now, we can see the blue column is referred to as Cran Oats, which is the name of this particular recipe. So, I hope this video was beneficial to you, and I hope you did learn something from it. I had fun doing this video and sharing with you the process of entering a recipe from start to finish utilizing the wizard. I am so excited to have access to this software. I can't wait to continue to enter the additional information. As I'm looking at this particular bar or batch of soap, I am going to get approximately 7 bars of soap for $6.47. Just having access to that information alone as a business owner, knowing that your expenses versus your product, it's so awesome. It's so awesome. So I hope you enjoyed it. Tune in again next time. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. You never know what's coming at you. We're doing this series of SoapMaker 3 videos, getting more acclimated with the SoapMaker 3 application. It's awesome.